a country so rich in natural beauty that tourism amounts for nearly 1/10 of its GDP. Visitors find themselves in the presence of magnificent glaciers, scenic mountains, rigid canyons, and some of the world's most breathtaking waterfalls. Today we are going to look a little bit closer at what can only be described as one of the most otherworldly places on Earth, Iceland. The first thing I want to do is warn you. Iceland is touristy. The Instagram photos may make it look like this, but in reality, it's probably more like this. It was so bad that my first day or two, I actually felt kind of depressed. I mean, I came all this way just to watch Instagram models take selfies in front of waterfalls. The views are incredible, but when your peripherals and often right in front of your face start to notice 100 phones go up and point at that view, it sort of diminishes it a bit. Now, if you are an Instagram model, then this part of the island might be your favorite, because all you have to do is park your car in a parking lot, walk about a half kilometer, and just like that, you're in a position to take a photo with an incredible looking background. A guy was telling me that 5 years ago you could go to any of these hotspots and you would be the only one there. I borderline didn't believe him, but I looked it up and sure enough, Iceland is in the middle of exponential growth in tourism. That's the bad news. The good news is not the whole island is like that. In fact, outside of the southwest part of the island, I found it to be pretty easy to get away from touristy areas and crowds. And if you do find yourself in a hotspot, just walk away. 9 times out of 10, you won't have to go far before you find some seclusion. Once you figure out how to stay away from tourism, you might be wondering what the culture is like in Iceland. Well, it might be harder than you think to get to know locals. There's less than 350,000 people in the entire country. And I have to say, I didn't really meet any locals while I was there. The few people I did talk to ended up being from other European countries and were just there to work for a little while. Almost all of their land is used for sheep. I mean, there are more than 800,000 sheep in Iceland, which means that they outnumber the people by more than 2 to 1. I was actually a little surprised when I found out that wool wasn't one of their top exports. The Icelandic port cities can be stunning, and you can always count on a beautiful church being at the center of them. Culture may not be in your face like it is when you travel in Asia, but there are some pretty cool stories and history that comes with their Viking heritage. For example, GODAFOSS. It means waterfall of the gods, and how it got its name is a pretty cool story. Allegedly around the year 1000 AD, the leader of Iceland made Christianity the religion of the island. Then he took all of his idols to his Old Norse gods and threw them in the raging water at GODAFOSS. If you have been planning on coming to Iceland, I'm willing to bet that it's not for the culture. It's for the views, and the views are spectacular. Definitely the best way to do Iceland is to drive the loop. The loop is basically just following Highway 1 around the entire island. Even if you didn't stop, the views are incredible. Iceland is one of those places where the drive is part of the experience. In the same day, you could drive through snowstorms, green mountains, beaches, and canyons. Highway 1 is incredible. It's hands down one of the best drives you're ever gonna do. It's only 1,332 kilometers or 828 miles, but I'd say you'd need at least a week to do it properly. One of the biggest concerns I had before going to Iceland was how expensive it was going to be. I'd always heard it was one of the most expensive places you could visit, and it was making me put off coming here. I wasn't actually supposed to be here this time even, but when I saw how cheap I could get a rental car, I figured I could just live out of that if I had to. So, is it expensive? The short answer, yes, it's very expensive. But I didn't have to live out of my rental car either. What I mean by that is, you can spend as much money as you want to here. Hotels can be up to $500 a night. Eating out, you could easily drop $30 or $40 on a plate. And there are other things you can blow your money on, like guides and hot springs, which can cost up to $50 for a swim. Or there is a budget way to do Iceland. And I know this is gonna sound like a commercial, but sometimes on booking.com, you can find some great last minute prices on hotels. I found one as cheap as $35 for the night, and you can always grab a spot at a campground, which once I found out how luxurious they were, that's all I did. They always come equipped with hot showers, heated bathrooms, and sometimes even heated kitchen areas and pools. And they're usually only 10 to 15 bucks. As for food, I bought all my food from their grocery stores and cooked it on a propane stove I have. It comes out to being reasonably priced, and you end up eating pretty well. As for any other tips, enjoy the views, because they definitely live up to the hype. Well fellas, until next time, here's some of my favorite views from Iceland. God bless.